Our culture guest this week uses her Tuscarora and Osage Indian heritage as a strong influence in her work. Through collage, painting, and mixed media, Alyssa Hinton portrays the folklore and history surrounding her ancestry. She is our culture guest this week. Welcome. Glad to have you here, Alyssa.
Thanks for having me.
How did you, now of course we were talking a little bit before we came on, you've been painting, since you were a small child. Is this something that you've always wanted to do and to express yourself through your painting as opposed to some other form of expression?
I've been asked that question a lot of times, and I really feel that it kind of chose me rather than me having to choose something. It was just always apparent that that's what my real strength was, and my parents really supported it, and so it wasn't a choice that I had to make at any given point in time. It just happened.
The influences of your heritage, they're present in all of your work? That's what you have chosen to show the world?
Yes, because again, going back to childhood, it was always something that really interested me. The pictures of my ancestors that my mother had, that her parents gave her, I would just stare at them for hours, and I had those pictures memorized in my mind. And even when I was 15, I did a trade with my mother where I did a family roots portrait going back to mostly North Carolina people.
Yeah.
And it was all in pencil, and it was very, very precise photographic type of drawing. And I traded it for something she crocheted for me. So it's always sort of an obsession or that type of thing.
So let's, we have some samples of your work, and we're going to want to take a look at some of those right now, and then you can tell us a little bit about them. Here's the first image. Tell us about that.
Well, I guess I was just working with certain threads.
This is a mixed media piece.
Yes, actually it's a collage. You could call it a photo montage, similar to the way Romare Bearden would work, where it's many, many pieces of cut paper, and it's all combined together and integrated in such a way that it really looks like a whole. And some people think that it might be a painting even, but it's really not. It's a collage, and a lot of the contours are cut so intricately that it has that look to it.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Ooh, this is pretty.
Same thing. This is many, many pieces from different magazine pictures. Even one Xerox black and white section in this where the sun is radiating, the outside layer of the sun. And it's called Light and Sound, the Fourth Day, and it was inspired by listening to the drum beats at a powwow and having that drum be in my head for days after the powwow, and just that sound, and I just wanted to portray it. This one is about traveling a path where maybe there's not a whole lot of people on that path. And the people holding hands around the edge represents the unity that we as tribes once had. And in this picture, it's kind of broken, but it's kind of together at the same time because people are still holding hands. This one represents maybe a spirit that you would see in the woods. I spend a lot of time in the woods myself, probably an hour every day, and it's a spiritual experience for me, and so this is sort of like a spirit that might come to you while you're in the woods.
All right, gorgeous pictures. We wanted to see more, but
that was quick.
I know, it's really some wonderful work. Where did you start with your work, and where do you think you're going to end up?
Well, I started way back in the day, as I said, but I did study in China, and that has a lot to do with I guess it enhanced my fascination with nature and my ability to really look at nature, this kind of how it's structured, just how it works visually, and that has a strong influence on where I came from. But in terms of the subject matter, it's always been like a roots type of thing, and I've always believed, like Marcus Garvey says, a people without a knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And for me, that desire to be a tree with strong roots is like an all-encompassing thing. And I really feel like, especially here in North Carolina, the native populations were here for thousands and thousands of years with the mounds, the burial mounds, the temples, the towns, all those things. And it's really just under the surface. And a lot of my work really represents that kind of coming out from being buried or waking up from being asleep and coming to the surface, and being, existing.
Do you consider yourself perhaps an emissary, if you will, for the Native Americans here in North Carolina, and for that matter, all over the country, to make sure that their voices are heard, that that we understand the contributions that they have made.
Yeah, I feel like I'm one of many caretakers, and that's part of my purpose. And I did leave. I was in Pennsylvania. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and I just up and left and came down here, just because I was led to come down here. And I really feel like my ancestors are partially responsible for that, and that I'm here to do a service as a caretaker. Yeah, and who, you know, however that ends up working out with other people, I'm willing to share and help strengthen other people as they do the same for me.
If there is one message that you would hope that your work conveys to people, what would that be?
Identity and strength and pride. I guess that would be unity.
Are you able to survive on your work? You're doing this full time, or you have to do other things in order to do your first love?
I've had to do a lot of other things, teaching mainly, some design work, like illustration type things. Right now, a lot of times I do things on blind faith, I guess people would call it. I really feel like I can market some reproductions, and I'm just kind of plugging away at it. And I have some help from my family right now. I guess they have some faith in me too. So. Sure,
obviously.
I'm just taking a risk again. I do that a lot, I guess.
All artists do. The ones who've got the chutzpah do. I mean, that's part of it. And you're going to have a line of greeting cards coming out soon.
Yes, and posters, hopefully.
And we'll be looking forward to those. Alyssa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck in your work. And that's it for the show this week. I'm Natalie Christian. Please join us again next time for another edition of Carolina Chronicle. See you then.